the watermelon is officially a failure this year, but I'll be back next year with a better strategy and maybe some actual watermelons. The corn is pretty much done. We've had about 15 good ears of corn. There are 1 or 2 that are finishing up. And in the meantime, the beans are pretty happy growing up along the fence and around some of these corn plants that are done. We've got some beans growing, for example that one. And then we have beautiful Scarlet Emperor beans growing up the corn. Italian purple beans are mainly the ones on the fence, and this one actually looks like it's making an escape attempt, which is fun. And then we have this squash plant that's growing all the way up from down here. And I just tied that one up as it's getting a bit heavy and I don't want it to just fall off. The main roots are still here, but I think before I wrap up today, I'll cover some patches of the squash part of the way down on the vine with some earth to try and get it to put some more roots down for a better distribution of water, because some of them that are nearer the roots, such as there, and then this big one over here, which has just needed some reinforcements because it's getting so fat, they're doing quite well. We're getting some fruits that are seriously in production, but along here they keep failing. This one might have some luck, but you can see, well, I've just taken some of the failures off, but a lot of them are just not really getting very far, sadly. But I think if they had roots closer to where a lot of these fruits are starting to produce, we might see some better results as we head into the autumn. The flowers, beautiful as ever. Strawberries, done for the year. I haven't seen a strawberry in a week or so, but that's okay. We have lots of plants for next year. Cucumber has been doing reasonably well. Got some ones that weren't too sour recently, pretty tasty. And we have some moss happily plugging along. And I've just installed this two-way joint on the hose here, so I can water manually as normal with the hose, but then I've got a timer for twice a day to water using this sprinkler hose, which sends up light sprinkles of water, I suppose, and they shoot pretty high up in the air. They go probably about as high as the corn, so I have it going before daylight and after the sun's mostly down, so that the leaves don't get any more singed by the Yakima sun than they already are. And so that's run all the way along here. The last few days has been the first experiment with them, with this system, because I have decided I don't want to bother people as much as I have been with watering, so this is a solution that should work. And then about a week ago I planted some leeks here and some kale here. Nothing yet, just lots of weeds to come back to from my trip, but I just pulled all of those, so hopefully we'll see some some small plants, some leeks and some kale coming up. Some wood, useful for putting around where the soil is, keeping that in a bit. My mushroom fuel for next year. And then I just cleared this patch. Now I don't know what I'm going to do here yet. This could be quite nice as a seating area actually, looking down into the garden. But it could also be really good for lots of mint, because I want to be adding moisture to this pile of wood once I've inoculated it with mushroom spores. And as you can see, there's lots of this really invasive grass-like weed that I've been battling with forever, rather. And that's some of what was starting to sprout up already in just 4 or 5 days of moisture. The seeds are so small, they get absolutely everywhere. It's this kind of thing. Really annoying. That's a seed, and that will sprout a lot of this stuff, which is really, really annoying. So mint could help this part of the garden be weed free, because mint's really aggressive, and I've seen mint really take over a property in Yakima, and at the moment I'd rather have a mint problem than a sort of useless weed grass problem. So that's the update for now. The sun's starting to come round as we wrap up the day. In other news, this stick has been a fantastic success. We have some more wood here from this tree, this big silver maple, and this is my first experiment with a staff of sorts, and it was a fantastic hiking companion. I also carried a lot of stuff with bags on either end, carrying over my shoulder. Really helped walking down some steep terrain on a hike recently. That was really good. Essentially what I did was I snapped all the small branches off the side and then took off the very outermost layers of bark before adding 2 coats of wood stain, and that took about a month to dry properly all the way. And then I had 2 layers of polyurethane, which is making it weather resistant. So I'm happy with that. Now I can walk the garden with my staff, which is immensely satisfying.